Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Hannah Pratt, and I'm the event manager here at Harrell's. We appreciate you joining us today. This is week 3 of our 3-part series of the Profit Revolution Masterclass. So we're glad you're here. For those of you who have been here since week 1 and joined us week 2, we're glad you're here for week 3. And if it's your first time tuning in, we're glad you're here too. Again, just to recap, the Profit Revolution Masterclass is a collaboration between Harrell's, the lawn care CEO, and Spraye. And basically, the whole purpose behind us bringing you this 3-part series is to help you grow your business in a profitable manner. Today, you'll be hearing from Brian, one of the co-founders of Spraye, and he's going to speak about managing your operations and marketing your business. So if you have any questions during his presentation, be sure to add them into the Q&A or the chat, and we'll hopefully get to as many as we can by the end of the presentation. So just feel free to fill those out as we go. And tonight, we are going to have 3 big raffle giveaways. So the first one is going to be another Arctic 52 quart ultralight rolling cooler. The second is going to be coaching from the lawn care CEOs, and that's going to include 2 one-hour Zoom calls, and it's a $750 value. So you definitely want to tune in till the end to get in on those raffles. And the last raffle is going to be a 6-month subscription to Spraye's Essentials plan, and that's also a $600 value. So we've got 3 awesome things that we're giving away. So stay tuned until the end. Drop your name and where you're tuning in from in the chat so that we know you're here. And then we'll get all those entered into the raffle and we'll do the drawing at the end. And yeah, be sure to stick around to the end to know if you win. So thanks again for being here today. We just really enjoy everybody taking the time out of their busy schedules to be here. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Brian to present.
All right, so hopefully everybody can see it. If you can't see it, somebody let me know. Like Anna said, if you have any questions along the way, just throw them in the chat, and I'll get to them when we are done. So I want to welcome everybody in. So the last 2 weeks, Dan and Aaron covered a ton of ground on how to build a profitable business. Today, we are going to continue that discussion. The original plan for tonight was to have my co-founder and wife, Caitlin, lead this webinar. However, she is home recovering from surgery. So today you're stuck with me, but I'm going to go through a ton of stuff that hopefully will help you guys make the most out of your marketing efforts. And a lot of that ties into operations as well. So one thing I do want to talk to you about a little bit is that this is not for people who are already marketing experts. So the webinar is not for people who are already running marketing campaigns that are getting amazing results, and you know you're doing a phenomenal job. If that's the case, pat yourself on the back. You're one of the few that's in that position. They're the vast majority of folks that we talk to. This is one of the things that they really have a lot of struggle with. So it's not for experts, but even if you are having great success, stick around. Maybe you will find some things that you can improve as well. So we are Spraye. So what is Spraye? We're a CRM that was really built specifically for lawn treatment companies, folks that are going out and making a healthier, greener lawn. Same types of folks that Aaron's been talking about and Dan's been talking about the last couple of weeks. We can help some other folks, but really those are the ones that we're specialized in. So if you have questions about a CRM, feel free to reach out to us afterwards. That is not what today is about mostly, though. I will talk about it a little bit here and there, but really what today is about marketing, and it is about making the most of your marketing. So you might ask, okay, but you're Spraye, you run a CRM. What do you know about marketing? So Caitlin and I ran for about a decade before starting Spraye. We ran an online marketing agency. We specialized in building sales funnels. We specialized in online ad strategy and management, tracking ads and finding out what the actual ROI we were getting out of ads was, and then testing and optimization. So those are things that we specialized in. And then we decided to start Spraye, and the rest is history. So those of you who already know me, I noticed some folks here that logged in that I do know. You know all about Spraye already, but that we started Spraye and shut down our marketing agency. And so we still love the marketing side of things, just moved on to Spraye. So one thing that we want to get started and kind of understand is, does any of this sound familiar to any of you? So if it does, feel free to let me know in the chat. Not necessary though, but if you see yourself in any of these scenarios and situations, this is really who this webinar is for. So maybe you've tried Facebook ads. Maybe you've boosted some Facebook posts from your Facebook profile. You've said, oh, wow, this is getting great engagement. I need to boost this and we'll get better engagement and I'll make some sales off of this. Maybe you've even tried the Facebook ad manager and spent some money in there. But bottom line is all of your efforts on those Facebook ads, whether it be boosting posts or using the Facebook ads manager, they just haven't really given you the results you're looking for. Either it's not sustainable, it's not scalable, or it's just too expensive. Maybe you've experimented with some Google search ads, maybe some local services ads, and you found that it's really, really easy to spend a ton of money and a lot more difficult to understand what's actually happening with that money and what it's getting back. Maybe you've hired, and I put this in quotes, an expert. Maybe you've hired somebody and you expected the world of them. They promised you the world. They said they were going to get you all these results, and come to find out that either you don't know what types of results you were getting from the efforts that they were putting in and the money that you were investing, or you just weren't getting any results at all. Tons of people in this boat. It's one of the things that we hear a ton of. People get burned in this world, and that's really because, and this comes from our marketing background as well, we heard from tons of people. Everybody's an expert. Everybody's trying to sell marketing services, and it's hard to find people who are really, really great. Maybe you've had a new website built. So you hired a new website built, you hired an SEO company to take that website and try to drive a ton of organic traffic to it through SEO. And ultimately you found out that, you've got the new website, you've had SEO services for a while, and you just aren't seeing the results from that, or you feel like you're not, or maybe you just don't know if you're getting those results. The bottom line is this, is that you've tried a lot of things and you just haven't found traction. And I want to share a little story of a business owner that I was talking to recently. He was telling me about how they're in a big market, not huge, but over 2 million folks in their serviceable area. They've hired multiple agencies over the past 4 years. They've hired 4 different agencies, he told me, and actually 2 in the last 12 months. They rebuilt their website. That was one of the things they hired an agency to do, and they paid for ongoing SEO services for about 6 months. Again, something they had hired to do. They tried Google and Facebook ads on their own even, and they actually had more success, or they felt like they had more success whenever they were running them on their own as they did when they hired agencies. But they still couldn't really figure out exactly what types of results they were getting, or they just weren't profitable, or it just wasn't scalable. Basically, bottom line is this business owner told me that the only thing that was keeping him from massive growth was finding marketing that works and that he could scale. So he had his pricing figured out. So you heard Dan and Aaron talking about pricing. You heard them talking about a lawn program that works. He said he gets awesome results. His customers are all really happy with him. They had capacity to service more customers. In fact, he had just bought a new truck, that sat most of the time, or probably about half of the time. And they had just started using Spraye, and he was telling me that they're more efficient than they had ever been. So all these things are big positives, but the big thing that they couldn't do, and they couldn't do consistently, was growth, predictable growth from their marketing efforts. And the truth of the matter is that we hear this all the time. Typically, we find that it comes down to one of 2 things that are happening that are keeping them from growing, especially regarding their marketing. So number one is they are either sabotaging their own marketing without realizing it, or they may have been missing some of or all of a few foundational pieces that should be figured out and in place before starting any marketing at all. So before spending any money. There is also a third possibility, and that they're just hiring really awful people to do the work. That is a possibility, but we're not going to get too far into that today. We do have a little bit of a bonus tool at the end that can help with that as well. So what we want to talk about first is we want to cover a few ways that you may be sabotaging your own marketing efforts. So the first sort of don't in the marketing world is don't depend on organic only growth. So, you might hear somebody say, I'm going to continue to grow forever based only on word of mouth. So you heard Aaron talk a little bit last week about getting a great, wrap on your truck. It's important. You heard him talk about the number one source of leads is neighbors of your current customers. This is all true. All of these things are important. It's important to have a great website. It's important to have word of mouth bring you new business. But the truth of the matter is that when it comes to all of these things, there just are no guarantees about how much new work you're going to get from this and how many new leads you're going to get. And the bigger thing is it's not scalable up or down. So again, you can't turn it up, you can't turn it down at will. When you have more capacity, you want to be able to say, okay, I know how I can fill that capacity. When you lose somebody and you don't have capacity for a ton of new business, you want to be able to say, okay, we got to turn some of this off, or we're going to start getting bad reviews and not be able to fulfill our services. So this is all just a really big deal. Organic growth is great, but depending on it only is going to make it a lot harder to scale. So the second don't that we have is treating new business as a second thought. Now, most of you, in fact, I would say pretty much all of you would say, I don't do that. I don't treat new business as a second thought. New business is really important to me. But the way that we see this happening is when companies start doing marketing campaigns, and we will track calls, right? So when we used to run marketing campaigns, we tracked calls, and we knew if a business got a call and they didn't answer the phone, or it ended up going to voicemail, whatever the case, they're not answering when the phone rings. It's a huge deal. So if you're not answering your phone during business hours, and this is crucial, absolutely crucial when you're running paid ads. So if you've got your paid ads on a schedule from let's say 8 a.m. to 5 a.m. every day, and you're not answering your phone during that time, that's lost opportunity, it's lost work, it's lost profit, it's lost revenue. So everything that you could lose, you're losing it by not answering the phone. And the truth of the matter is that the availability of data and information is just so convenient for folks that if you don't answer your phone, they are on to the next company and you've lost them. And then, to follow up on that, if you're following up only at night or on weekends, so you are going to miss calls. I understand that. Sometimes a call is going to be missed, but if you don't call them back very quickly, within 5 minutes, again, you're missing them because they just called somebody else, they got a quote and they signed up, or they called three other folks and got quotes and you're already too late. So that's how that really shows up. So one thing I would say on this treating new business as a second thought, I understand if you can't answer the phone, if you're running, if you're one-man show, you're out in the field, you're treating lawns, maybe you're on your ride-on, you don't hear your phone, whatever it is, if you can't answer the phone during the day, or you're not going to be able to get to every single call, hire somebody to handle the overflow. Put a system in place so that if you don't answer the phone, somebody is there to answer the phone and answer questions. Make that, whatever company or person it is, make them familiar with how to use your CRM, and get a quote out. It's really huge. In Spraye, if you want, you can have a quote out in about 5 minutes. Add a new customer, create an estimate, get it to your customer, and they can accept it right there online in about 5 minutes. That can all be done. So even if you are answering the phone, it's not like you have to have 30 minutes to try to figure out how to get a new customer into any CRM. You should be able to do that if your CRM is doing things right. All right. So the next don't is trusting the wrong people to run your marketing. So we put a note in here that this could include friends, family, neighbors, and then, obviously all caps there, yourself. So that's the most likely mistake that people make when it comes to trusting the wrong people when they run their marketing. But a lot of people will say, I've got a friend who's great at marketing, or I've got a friend who's great at social media. Maybe they hire their niece or their nephew because they're on social media all the time and they know how to do that stuff. That's just not reality. Yeah, maybe they're great at social media. That doesn't mean they understand your business. That doesn't really mean that they understand marketing or how to get you new business. So that's equally and even maybe more true of yourself. You guys are entrepreneurs, you're running your own business, so you have a lot of confidence in what you can do. That's really great, but just make sure that confidence is well-founded. If you aren't trained, if you don't have experience in running paid campaigns, typically running paid campaigns without knowledge around it is a really good way to throw money away. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to trust the wrong people. All right, this is a big one, and folks have a hard time kind of getting the hang of this one. So if you're focused on selling and your program and what you want the customer to do more than you are with just simply helping the customer, then you're losing opportunity here. So help the customer first. And that's what we always said about marketing. Your marketing should help first and sell second. And that should always be the case, and it should always be your mindset. So if you go to a customer's lawn and you say, oh, it looks like you could use, you could benefit by watering an extra hour a week. Tell them that without asking for anything in return. You don't have to ask for something in return in that case. I mean, if you're going there, you're probably going to give them an estimate, but tell them that regardless if they sign up for your program or not. Help first. It's going to help build a relationship. Even if they choose not to go with your services today, it will build trust. And later on, if they decide they want to go with your services, you'll be number one on their list, or at least at the top. All right. So this is another big one, not tracking results. So if you aren't tracking results in your marketing, it's really hard to understand if it's working or not. So I talked to another business owner about a month ago, and he was talking about how his marketing wasn't working, and I got into a conversation with him. As you can imagine, I could talk about marketing pretty much all day. And so I was talking to him, and he said, well, here's what's going on. I switched. I was doing everything myself. I was hand measuring every lawn. I was hanging door hangers. I was talking to neighbors when I could. So he was doing all these things that was very organic grassroots efforts. And he said, he was getting all kinds of work. And he thought if he could hire a marketing agency and an inside salesperson, he should be able to make that work even better. And so that's what he did. And after about 3 months, he said, I'm just really frustrated because essentially I'm getting exactly the same results now as far as new customers as I did when I was doing it all myself. And so, being the person who's interested in all this the way that I am, I started thinking, okay, what's really going on here? So I asked him several questions, and I found out that what he was actually doing is when he was doing this all himself, he had a close rate of about 90%, but he could only get to a certain amount of yards every day, every week, and be able to close a certain amount of deals. And it had to be him. He didn't have anybody else who could do it. So yeah, he was closing 90% of deals, which is it's a very high close rate. And his new close rate, with his new setup was about 50%. And once we ran all the numbers and I said, okay, let's really dig into this. We figured out how much he was spending and how much he was bringing in. What we actually found was it was actually a massive success because it actually proved that he could scale growth instead of just depending on himself to do all of the selling and all of the growing. But until I asked him a series of questions about those things, he really was just frustrated. All he could see was I'm spending more, getting the same results. So the old way was just not scalable. It was hugely profitable for what he could do, but just not scalable. And the new way was much more scalable, less profitable per customer, but ultimately it was going to allow him to be more profitable in the long run. So not tracking results includes not tracking internal post-sale results. So what I mean by that is if you don't know your lifetime customer value, so how much is a customer worth to you? If you don't know what that is, then you're going to have a really hard time understanding how much you can spend to acquire a customer. And no matter how amazing your marketer is, whoever it is, whether it's you or whether it's a marketing agency, if you don't know how much you can spend, you've got a hard time understanding if you're profitable, number one, but also, if you can spend more, then it's going to give you a better chance to beat out your competition in that marketing. So just a big deal to track those results from start to finish. All right, the next don't. I promise you, we're going to get to some of the do's here in a minute. No sales process. So we underline process there. It's a big deal. Some people think of sales as send out an estimate and that's sales. Talk to the customer, send the estimate, end of the road, right? There's no process. Or maybe they do follow up here and there when they have time, right? It's just as they remember it or as they have time to do it. And it's really important that you have a process for sales, really, because you have to be consistent. You have to follow up multiple times in some cases. And you have to make sure that that's not something that relies on you just having time. So make sure you have that sales process in place, put it in place. Even if it's not perfect to start with, you can always improve on your sales process. Put something in place so you know that you're giving yourself a good chance of getting that business. So the seventh don't is not maximizing customer value. So I know Aaron talked a little bit about this too last week, and Dan talked about pricing structure. But if you don't have the right pricing structure in place to give yourself the best opportunity for profitability, it's not going to maximize your customer value. If you aren't upselling all customers, it's not going to maximize your customer value. Intentionally asking for referrals. So this is different than just relying on, your truck wrap or your neighbors to call, but intentionally asking for referrals. Even having, you can even have a referral system in place where you can give discounts or coupons to people who referred to you. So lots of people do that. Easy to implement in your CRM, usually, to just add a discount onto any service if your customers refer somebody. So big deal. Make sure you have a referral system in place, and then intentionally generating reviews. That's different, and we'll get to this in a little bit more in depth in a bit. But intentionally generating reviews is different than just sort of hoping that they come in. All right, so the last don't that we see a ton of, and actually this is one that it just has a lot more to do with education and knowledge of what's going on, but people just don't have patience to wait for marketing to work. So a good marketing company is going to test things, meaning at the very beginning, probably half of their efforts are they're trying to find out what's not going to work in order for them to find out what is going to work. And so sometimes you're going to see not quite as great of results early, but it should, if you have a great marketing team or somebody who's great doing marketing, it should improve over time. And then again, you got to give that sales process time to bear out actual results. You can't assume that there are no results when that sales process isn't even finished. So you want to track it all the way to the end of the sales process. And then I always like to tell people about the cumulative effect of marketing. So time plus focus equals growth. Typically, you can have somebody that's really bad at marketing that this wouldn't happen with, but if you put time and focus into something, there's a cumulative effect to potential customers seeing your name on Facebook, and then when they search for services on Google, there's your name at the top of the page or the top of the maps. They're going to be more likely to click on your name over time because they will have seen your business name over time many times. You will have given them value in some cases over time, and so building that, having patience, it's going to make a big difference for your marketing. All right. So now I'm done with the don'ts, and we can get straight into sort of some foundational pieces. Again, it's really big that you go ahead and get these foundational pieces in place before you start spending money on marketing. So before talking to a marketing firm, even before learning how to do the marketing yourself, you're going to want to get these things in place. And the bonus, the awesome thing about all of these things that I'm about to talk about is you can do all of them without spending any money at all. Now, some of them you could spend money on also, but you can do them without spending money at all. So if you don't have a big marketing budget or any marketing budget, you can still do all of these things and kind of set yourself up for marketing success. All right, so the first one is a lead magnet. So if you're not familiar with what a lead magnet is, I'm actually certain that you've seen one at some point in your life somewhere. So if you're not familiar with what it is, it's essentially a way for you to give value to potential customers in exchange for something that you value. So that something that you value is typically things like name, email, phone number. It could just be name and email. So at the very least, you want to get a way to contact these people, but you want to just give to them without asking for very much. We even have some people that will ask for name, email, phone number, address, so that they have all of that. And you can ask for all of that, but just know that the less that you ask for, the more likely that you're actually going to get people to fill out the form. So that's really important to understand. But when you start running paid ads to your website or landing page, you're really going to want to have, you're going to have some people who click on the ads and they aren't ready to get a quote quite yet. They're not even sure that they want the services, so they don't want a quote, but they saw your ad. And for those people, it's really, really important and helpful that you get their contact information, that email, that phone number. So that way, if you have that contact information, now you can follow up with them, and you can follow up with them for free. You don't have to pay for more ads to reach them again. It's a huge deal. But the lead magnet itself is something that you provide. So it could be anything from a free lawn evaluation. That's something that's going to take a little bit more time because you'll have to go out to the lawn, give it an evaluation, give it a score, and you're doing all of this, again, without any expectation that they're going to sign up for services. So that's a big one. If you have a lot of capacity, you could do something like a free lawn evaluation. Of course, at the end of something like that, you could say, hey, we can also help you with 3 of these things that are wrong with your lawn, right? But you could also just do something as simple as a downloadable PDF lawn watering guide. You could do a mow height cheat sheet, right? Maybe a roadmap to a greener weed-free lawn. And then you could also maybe do something like a health quiz. If you know how to build an online quiz and you can give them an answer, like here's probably roughly the health of your lawn right now. Those are all really good things to be able to offer to people. You may have other ideas. That's totally fine. So this again, so talking about helping rather than selling. So going back to that thing that people do wrong. So this is basically that in a nutshell, right? So you're helping rather than you're not selling anything in this case. All you're doing is helping people, giving them something of value. It's going to build trust and it's going to give you a way to reach them again without spending any money. So I've got 5 action items for you today. The first one is create your lead magnet. So when you have it created, whatever you decide on, and again, you don't have to make this crazy, highly designed lead magnet. It doesn't have to be something that you spend a ton of time on, but something that is going to be of value to your customers. So then you can promote it on social, whether that be paid or organic, put it on your website, make sure you have a lead form on there. Big deal. All right, next one. Generate more reviews. We talked about this a little bit before, intentionally doing this. So we know how important it is to have a ton of reviews and a high average, and everyone generates reviews whether they like it or not. So even if you don't have a Google business profile, even if you don't have a Facebook page, people can still basically type your company name in there and basically create it for you and give you a review. So you don't have to make the effort in order for your customers to give you reviews, but you want to. So there's a if you're not making that effort, that's an issue. So one way that you can do this without doing a lot of work or any work long term is you can simply use your CRM. Use your post-service notifications. If you have automated post-service notifications, in Spraye, we make that really easy. But if you have them, just in your post-service notification, ask your customers to leave you a review. Put a link to your Facebook page, put a link to your Google business profile where they can review. You will get reviews by doing that. I promise you, you will. And that's being intentional about it. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. It's going to make a huge difference. If you don't have post-service notifications in your CRM, or even if you do and your CRM integrates with Zapier, again, Spraye does integrate with Zapier, but you can integrate with a review service and they do a little bit, it'll be a little bit more intense. So they'll do follow-ups for reviews and different things, but you can do that through Zapier if you want to. The big thing here is make sure you respond to all reviews, positive or negative. One thing that we always tell people, so no matter how big or small you are, if you do business long enough, you're going to get a negative review. Something's going to go wrong and you're going to get a negative review. So I always tell people, don't look at a negative review as a negative. Instead, look at it as an opportunity to offer amazing customer service in public, right? So everybody knows that people get bad reviews. I have a really bad habit of anytime I'm about to buy something, I will actually go, even if somebody has great reviews, they might have an average of 4.8 and 4,000 reviews. I will go and look for the negatives to see what they were and how the company responded to it, right? So if you provide awesome customer service in public, that's marketing. Whether it may not seem like it, it's sort of operations, and it's customer service, but it's marketing, and it's a way to publicly show that when something goes wrong, you can still trust us to be awesome. Huge deal. So action item number 2, automate those review requests. Whatever you can do, whatever software you're using, find a way to automate those review requests so you're not having to manually do that, or sort of like just pray that, they're going to come in, because they will come in, but being intentional about it is going to make it more. Oh, and bonus on that one, go back and respond to those reviews that you already do have if you haven't already. So they're still going to be there. Yes, it's better to be timely about it, but you can still go back and respond to them now, and it's going to make a big difference. All right, so next one, testimonials and before and after photos. So these kind of go hand in hand, and I know a lot of you are thinking testimonials are the same thing as reviews, Brian. We don't really look at it that way. So testimonials are a little bit different. So you should already, with whatever you're doing, you should be able to get a testimonial or two from people you've already helped with their yard. So testimonials and before and after photos. So it's huge to collect these before and after photos. You can automate that. So if your CRM has the opportunity to put notes in, you can put a before and after note in. So every time your technician goes out, they take a picture, throw it in a note, and then you can go review those and see, oh, this customer has amazing results. I'm going to reach out to them and see if I can get a testimonial from them. And what you'll do is you'll find a handful of people who are willing to do that, likely without any any discounts or anything on future services. But if you have to give discounts on future services to get testimonials, do it every time. They will be worth it. The best testimonial you can get is a video testimonial. So if you can get somebody, they can have somebody record them on an iPhone. The technology we have in phones these days makes it really easy to get decent quality video. So they can record on an iPhone, even do a selfie video. It's totally fine telling everybody how awesome you are to work with and how awesome the results are, basically. So that's the best. The next one would be, just a text testimonial telling people how awesome you are. And if they can also let you use an image of them, that's huge. Again, you also want to use before and after photos along with these and alongside them. And then if you can't get either of those things and you can just get a text testimonial along with a name, that's fine. But any of those is good. You're going to want to put them on your website, promote them on social, all that. So that's your action item number 3. And you can see action item number 3 is collect before and after photos. And I say this because we really recommend you collect those before and after photos before going and asking for a testimonial, because having the photos to be able to go along with the testimonial is going to make it a ton more powerful. So not only are they going to hear somebody saying how awesome it is, they're also going to see the results, where you took them from and where you took them to. Big deal. All right, so Google Business Profile. This one's huge for a number of reasons. And we talked about reviews already. So drive reviews, make sure your name, address, phone number are consistent across local business listings. So not just on Google, but on Yelp and on Facebook. And there's 100 of these things out there. I mean, there really are. Make sure your service area is set. Make sure you have your services offered on there. Make sure you're claiming all of those listings and make sure you're optimizing those listings. So one thing on optimizing Google Business Profile listings is it's not necessarily as simple as just doing work on your Google Business Profile. What I have done and what Caitlin and I have put together is a download it's a guide for you to be able to basically follow to optimize your Google Business Profile. It's going to help you get in the tops of that, that maps pack, that 3-pack at the top of the maps results. But the other thing that it's going to do is it's also going to help you. It's going to help you if you end up running local services ads. It's going to help you to be able to be more effective there as well. So Google's going to look at that Google Business Profile and it's going to say, okay, how well optimized is this? And it's going to matter how much they charge you basically compared to your competition on those local services ads. So action item number 4 is follow that guide. You guys will be getting that guide in your email whenever when the webinar is over. Action item number 5, and the thing that you need to do is upsell. And we talked about this a little bit. So you might be saying, Brian, you told me to set up foundations of marketing, not teach me how to sell. And that's true. That's true. But the reason this matters so much to your marketing, upselling matters so much to your marketing, is if you can upsell effectively, consistently, it's going to allow you to spend more on marketing. And if you can spend more to acquire a customer, you're going to beat your competition more times than you would if you can't spend more to acquire a customer. So it's really important that you're upselling as much as possible. So there's a ton of potential services that you can upsell. You need to find something that you believe in and make it a part of every estimate and have a yearly marketing push for it. So whether that's aeration and seeding, which tons of folks do, whether it's mosquito, flea, tick, ants, those types of add-on services, or for the folks in the north who have a significant off season. Even if you're in the South and you don't have an off season and you want to add Christmas lights, that's fine. But a lot of people do Christmas lights setup and takedowns. The key to upsells is you want to make sure that if you're successful in selling, that it's not going to mess up the rest of your operations and cause you to drop the ball. So make sure it's something that you can work into your current operations. You can deliver, great results for. You don't want to get bad reviews and bad results from an add-on service that's going to basically cause you negative results for the rest of your stuff. So just make sure that's the case. But upselling, maximizing that customer lifetime value, it's going to make a huge difference in everything you do. You can set up, hopefully, automated upsells in your CRM. So in our system, if a technician adds a specific condition to a property, it can automatically include a note to your customers letting them know, hey, we just noticed XYZ condition on your property. We can help that out by doing this service. Please let us know if you want to move forward. So having something automated like that set up is huge. You want to make sure you can do that if you can. So action item number 5. So decide on those services and then make sure you plan your marketing campaigns. You can actually set those marketing campaigns up either an automated way in your CRM, like I just talked about, or you can even, set up in an email marketing system or something like that, set up drip campaigns for all of your new customers that come in, or drip campaigns at certain times a year for like aeration and seeding. That would be big things for you to do. All right. So bonus, those are all 5 of our action items. So a bonus for everybody today that we are also going to send out along with that Google Business Profile guide is going to be 5 questions to ask any marketing agency before hiring them. This is another thing that we get asked a ton. Essentially, how do I know that a marketing agency is going to do a good job? The simple answer to that question is you don't, because people can lie to you. But if you ask the right questions, you should at least have something to stand on if they did lie to you, right? So we have put together 5 questions to ask. And along with those 5 questions, you should see some answers, some ideal answers there as well. So you won't always get ideal answers to all 5 of the questions, but at least you'll know, what you're looking at before hiring a marketing agency rather than after hiring a marketing agency.